So why write about sci-fi fiction? Why not thrillers or documentaries?
Well, I like science fiction because it's easy to put any other genre in it. I could do like a science fiction detective story, which is pretty much the main genre that I do because the detective happens to be an alien. But it's still a detective story, but it's a sci-fi detective story. You could do a sci-fi spy story, a sci-fi thriller, sci-fi romance, if you're into that sort of thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, babies in their diapers, welcome to the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.
That's me, Tiberius.
And welcome to the Tiberius Show today. And I'm your host, Tiberius Boy. Now, as always, we're looking at various jobs and how they affect the world around us. Today's guest is going to be a stage musician, talent agent, and a sci-fi writer. Dude, I don't have any idea what a stage magician is, but I think I'll figure it out soon enough. But you know, let's just talk to this guy and find out. Let me introduce our next guest, the one, the only, the amazing Daniel Rumanos.
Hello,
Well,
thank you for having me on the show.
no problem, and thank you for being on the show. Okay, so you
Well, you're
are
certainly
listed as
welcome.
a stage magician, and what exactly does a stage magician do?
Stage magician does illusions, entertainments for the audience, classic stage magic of the Houdini or uh, Blackstone and other great magicians of the past. I've been inspired by, and I do and have done shows in various places across the country, entertaining the audience with wonders of illusion.
So, Daniel, were you always interested in magic?
Well, yes, I would say since I was young, I always read books on it, and I saw magicians on TV and things like that. When I was that young, it was before the internet, so we didn't have that, but you can see magicians all over the internet now on YouTube and elsewhere. But mostly what inspired me the most was reading books about it, the great magicians of the past, like Houdini and Blackstone, as I said, and the things they did and the audience that they presented their spectacle to. And it was an amazing thing that I wanted to make part of my life and eventually did.
So, at what point did you decide being a magician and a sci-fi writer was the jobs for you?
Well, it just kind of came together over the years. When I was young, I always came up with story scenarios and tried to entertain people with them. And both doing stage magic and writing are two different ways, really, of expressing that. So I ended up doing both of them, and they kind of interact with each other. And it really just came together in. When I really got into it as far as doing it on stage as a magician in the 1990s, uh, and it was a bit different then. That again was before the internet, but so I went around with different carnivals and things like that, doing shows that way through various entertainment groups, and so forth, and got into some different, and I will say, unusual things in those days.
So, you're originally from Baltimore and now you live in Atlantic City. What drew you to move to Atlantic City, and was it for your career as a magician?
Partially, I just liked being in a place where show business was more understood and more of an everyday thing. Baltimore, I'm from there. I grew up there. It's a great city, but it really wasn't. And at that time, it's going to be more so, and I'm sure it will, a show business place. Uh, but so I ended up in Atlantic City. I also spent a lot of time in New York, which is a good show business place as well. But Atlantic City's really, I've adopted as my favorite place. It's kind of an unusual city, even by American standards. It's pretty diverse in many ways. You have the beach, you have casinos, you have the highest and lowest things of life all jammed together. It's really the real world with this crazy veneer of show business over it. So it's something that I just really enjoy.
So, if you had to choose between being a magician, talent agent, or sci-fi writer, which would you pick and why?
Well, as far as being a writer, that's the thing that kind of holds it all together, because that's where I create things that I can then use in other things if I'm doing it. But it's also what I always go back to, because that's something I can do on my own, and in any situation that I'm in at the time or anything, I can always write. So that's always been something I've used to go back to. So I say that's really the core. That's the most important center of my life and my various things that I've done.
So, what types of magic tricks do you prefer doing? Like, which do you prefer performing the least and why?
I think my favorite things are like the mentalism, the so-called mind reading tricks, the things like that, where you can supposedly tell what a person's thinking, or what card they're thinking about, or whatever you're using, because that's the thing that really freaks an audience out. You can do all the sawing a lady in half you want and everything, and that's a great spectacle, and it's strange and amazing. But when people feel that you've really gotten into their mind, that's really when they get freaked out. And so that's really what I think I enjoy the most of all the different forms of stage magic.
So, what are the main elements you need to perform a magic trick?
Well, the first thing you have to have, I think, is an alert mind. You have to be aware of your surroundings and who's watching and who's listening, and exactly how you're going to come across. In addition to that, you need to make sure you have the appropriate props or whatever you're using ready ahead of time, and you have to present yourself the way you want to be presented, the way you want to present yourself. It's both important at the same time. You have to walk that line, I would say, between looking like an amazing person who can perform miracles, but at the same time be somebody who can connect with the audience, who they don't just naturally dislike because they're afraid of you or anything. You don't want to go that far. Really, at the same time, you have to still be, I could almost say, normal enough coming across to the audience that is still a surprise, a shock, that you actually can perform what appears to be the supernatural. Because, if people even expect that too much, then it's not as amazing to them as if it's a surprise.
So, what are the most successful performances that you've done and where?
I've done one of the most interesting, I think, when I was in Baltimore. This was in 1999. I did a magic routine called the Electrician Vorspiel, which is a German term meaning the electrical prelude, which was based on some actual 19th century mystical societies who did similar things, and it used both music and electricity, actually, to conjure supposed spirits and things like that. And that I did actually in Baltimore at a place, it's still there, a bar in Baltimore called Auto Bar nightclub, which actually was a punk rock venue. So it was kind of a different kind of thing for that type of venue, but it went across pretty well. And I think that's one of the most memorable and interesting, at least for me personally, of the various shows that I've done.
So, have you ever been like surprised by an audience member's reaction to one of your performances?
Yes, well, I suppose you get used to it after a while, but not really, because the way people just sit there or sometimes stand up with their mouth open like it's like it's locked. Yes, yeah, that sort of thing. It's like this universal human reaction to this sort of thing that's interesting to watch. You like I said, you get used to it after a while, but really you don't, because you're saying. Well, why are they doing that? Why is that the reaction to this? And I don't know if there's an answer to that or not.
Okay, in your opinion, who's better, Houdini or David Copperfield?
Well, I love them both, and both have been influenced on me. But I have to say Houdini. I mean, here he's been dead for 100 years, and just a few months ago there was a #1 hit song with his name on it, and everyone knows who the singer was talking about exactly. So Houdini is the all-time greatest. There's no doubt about that at all.
Okay, now is there a magic trick that you can do right now for the show?
There probably is, but let's just leave that a mystery.
Okay. So what's one thing you think kids should know about doing the work that you do?
Just that, don't be afraid to do something different. If you feel drawn to something that some people think is a bit strange or unusual or anything, and don't be afraid to be yourself. I think that's the most important thing I can say about anything that I do, is just to always be yourself and be the best you can be by being yourself. If you're being someone else, if you're trying to do something that just isn't in your nature, then you're not being the best you can be, no matter how successful you might be in it. You're not going to be happy that way, really, I think. So I think that's what I would say to young people, or for anyone who's just starting out and wants to do something new with their life. Do what makes you happy.
Now, here seems like a good time to get a quick commercial break. Let's hear a word from our sponsors.
So you want to make an ad for your company, right?
Yeah, Tiberius, you want to help me?
Okay, so what's the name of the company?
PPWND.
PP what?
Professional Pressure Washing and Detailing.
So you like clean driveways?
Yeah, like that. We pressure wash commercial buildings and semi-truck and trailers.
So how would someone get a hold of you?
They can visit my site at ppwnd.com or call me at 407-900-7793.
So I just tell them to call you at 407-900-7793 or visit ppwnd.com?
Yeah, Tiberius, you got it.
Cut, that's a wrap. Just use that.
Oak Ridge Gun Range is a family-oriented shooting range that has been in business for over 30 years. They specialize in basic firearm training and offer numerous services such as consignments, gun trades, gunsmithing, and concealed weapon classes. I even got my training for gun safety at Oak Ridge Gun Range. Great customer service, and firearm safety is what they do best. So find out more at oakridgegunrange.com.
And we're back here talking with Daniel Rumanos, stage magician, sci-fi writer, and talent agent. Basically, a jack of all trades. You got what I was saying there? Okay, so Daniel, now that we learned about being a stage magician, let's talk about what exactly is a sci-fi writer.
Well, sci-fi writer, and in the sense of what I do, is someone who writes. In my case, I write short stories in the science fiction realm, featuring things from other worlds and concepts of the future and the past, and basically adventure and excitement, very much in similar vein to what I've tried to bring forth in magic shows, but applied in a different element. I think uh, writing to me is like magic, except it's really not illusion. Writing is like real magic because I can put words together, or any writer can put words together, and it makes the reader see scenes in their brain. And when I think of that is amazing. That is, to me, that is real magic, to be able to do that. So that's what writing is to me anyway.
So why write about sci-fi fiction? Why not thrillers or documentaries?
Well, I like science fiction because it's easy to put any other genre in it. I could do like a science fiction detective story, which is pretty much the main genre that I do, because the detective happens to be an alien. But it's still a detective story, but it's a sci-fi detective story. You could do a sci-fi spy story, a sci-fi thriller, sci-fi, romance, if you're into that sort of thing. You could do a sci-fi comedy, if you like that. And just basically anything, I think, works well with sci-fi, because in many ways, like the futuristic things about sci-fi, we've already seen this to some extent for some of the early science fiction, like Jules Verne and H.G. Wells. Eventually, a lot of it becomes just the real world, and it's no longer sci-fi. I mean, like when Jules Verne wrote about high-tech submarines and trips to the moon and that sort of thing. Uh, today, you could do that, and at the same time, it's a mystery story, and it's not wouldn't really even be sci-fi. Uh, so I just think that it's the most open genre that you can mix with other things for variety and interest. So that's, I think, why I use that as the center of my writing.
So, because of this, reoccurring act of, we write about sci-fi, then we get the technology later. When do you think we'll get teleporters?
Oh, from what I've read about that, I did read. I think they're doing something about that. I forget. I don't know if it's Johns Hopkins University or where it was exactly. They actually teleported a beam of light. They haven't teleported any actual physical thing yet, but it's certainly possible. It doesn't seem any less possible to me than I'm sure space travel once was, or for that matter, air travel. So I'm not going to say anything like that's impossible. It could happen anytime, or not for hundreds of years. Who knows?
So, you mentioned the Daniel Rumanos mysteries. What are these mysteries about?
Well, that's my main sci-fi series. It's about a detective who happens to be an alien from the planet orbiting the star Algol, and he was assigned to Earth by a secret organization within the government of his planet, because Earth is in a particular strategic position that makes it vulnerable to attack, and also would be a place that, if it was taken over by certain alien forces, would be detrimental for the rest of the galaxy. So he was assigned there basically to protect Earth using the alien abilities that he has, but at the same time trying to keep it all secret. So it has a mixture of mystery and like espionage type story in a sci-fi genre.
So, is writing like a day job so that you can do more work on your passion as a stage magician, or is it like the other way around?
I would say it's more like the other way around because it's just come around to me that writing is the one thing that I'll always do, no matter what else I do along with it or in addition to it.
So, in your sci-fi writing, do you have a main character, or are they all different types of sci-fi writing?
My main series is the Daniel Rumanos Mysteries, which is about the alien detective or secret agent, as I told you. And I've written now just around 100 stories in that particular series, so that's the main thing. And it's been interesting to me to see where it's gone as far as what he gets up to and the supporting characters and the villains and monsters and storylines that have gone through. I've been writing that one regularly for 13 years now. So it's been really interesting to watch it develop.
So, what is the best advice that you've ever received, and who gave you that advice?
The best advice I ever got was during the 1990s when I took a little break from show business to take some classes. It was actually with a Kabbalistic rabbi. His name was Jacob Solomon. He had a bookstore in Allentown, Pennsylvania. And one of the things he said to us, which has always stayed with me, was talking about the health of the human mind. He said, you can tell who has a good, healthy mind, a really healthy mind, if that mind is able to entertain more than one point of view. Not just meaning to accept, well, the other people have different points of view, but I have the one that's right. But to be able to say, well, maybe not just one dogmatic point of view expresses everything, and I think that's really the pretty much the wisest thing any human being's ever said to me. Once again, it was a good mind, a healthy mind, is able to have more than one point of view.
So, why would a kid listening today want to grow up and do your job?
Well, some kids are crazy, like I was. Maybe it's that, but it's interesting. It's fun. It's out there. It's different than everyday life, but at the same time, I think it helps everyday life because people need entertainment. People need that for their life because there are, let's face it, terrible things that happen in the world. You turn on the news, you see terrible things. You look at the internet, you see terrible things. Sometimes you look out the window and see terrible things. So we need entertainment, and I don't think that entertainment is even just it's not just, a lot of people say, well, it's escapism. I don't think it's just escapism. I think being able to think about something else at the same time as you're living this life, having to deal with the different problems of life, I think that helps you to deal with it. And if you're an entertainer, I think you're actually helping people in a way. An entertainer, and by that I'm including a stage magician, a singer, musician, or an actor, a model, anything, or a writer. A writer is a form of entertainer. I think what you're really doing is you're helping people to deal with the problems of life, the things that they have to deal with daily in life. So it's really a good thing in that way, I believe.
Well, on that note, let's take a quick break to pay some bills.
The Tiberius Show would like to thank one of their dedicated sponsors, Custom Designs Orlando. guys are on Mills Avenue and do all sorts of stuff, ranging from photo ID badges, engraved signs, custom braille ADA signs, vinyl lettering to trophies and awards. The cool part about Custom Designs is they can ship products all over the United States. You can reach them at 407-898-0373 and tell them that
Tiberius
sent you.
Over 40 years, Lighthouse Central Florida has provided education, independent life skills, and job training to thousands of Central Floridians who live with blindness or any degree of vision loss. Whether it's picking out clothes in the morning or just moving around your community and serving Orange, Seminole, and Osceola counties, contact Lighthouse Central Florida at 407-898-2483 or visit them online at lighthousecfl.org.
And we're back here with Daniel Rumanos, stage magician, sci-fi writer, and talent agent. So, Daniel, what is a talent agent?
A talent agent is a person who helps other people in the show business field basically to find jobs. Basically, like a show business type of job placement. What I do is, or what any talent agent does, according to what types of clients you take, whether actors, models, musicians, magicians, or whatever, and you find people who are casting for that, and then try to talk the people casting into looking at the person that you're representing. So it's basically to help people to get involved in the entertainment field and to work in the entertainment field.
So, how does being a talent agent make the role a better place?
Well, I'd like to help people who are want to get into show business, into the entertainment industry, and since I've been in it for let's say a few years now, I've made some connections, and even this way, even things that were connections, people I've happened to meet, and connections I've made that weren't personally helpful to me. I can remember, oh, I met this person, or I know this company or whatever who could help this person who wants to be an actor or a fashion model or whatever, and that way I can help them to get into the business.
So, Daniel, what type of talent do you seek out, and how do you go about doing it?
I usually work with actors and models, and I just do it through advertising and letting myself know through advertising that I'm available to do this, and I only take a percentage of whatever money they earn doing a job that I help to get them. So I'm not asking for them to pay me anything until they make money. So I'm not taking anything from anyone. I'm just helping them to get something that they probably wouldn't have otherwise, and then that's the only part of it that I would ask for anything in return from, only after I've helped someone. So I think it's a good thing. I think that it's a good to help people who are wanting to get into the industry, as I said. I think it's important to not do anything to exploit people, like by asking for money up front or insisting upon money up front before anything's happened to improve their lives. But aside from that, I'm sure that it's a good thing, and that it's helped people once again into an industry which is very competitive, and a newcomer coming into it really would be overwhelmed otherwise, I think, and perhaps easily exploited, taken advantage of financially or otherwise. And hopefully I can help them to avoid that.
So, what was that one thing that happened in your career that you just didn't expect?
What I didn't expect quite so much was for my writing to be bring in as much interest as it has, because as I said, it's just something that I enjoy, something I would do no matter what else I'm doing. If I was doing well enough and saved up enough that I never had to make money again a day in my life, I still would write because I enjoy it. But it's surprised me, and I've been glad to see that people have read my writing, because I've always made it available for free. Writing wasn't something I really intended to do for money, though I have sold a few short stories to magazines and so forth. But for the most part, writing was just something I wanted to do for the enjoyment of it. So I made a website and put my series up, new episode every month of my sci-fi series, and it's amused and amazed me that people have read it regularly and write to me occasionally and say, "Oh, what's going to happen?" and when's the next one going to appear, and things like that. So that's really the thing that's amazed me the most over the years.
So, Daniel, on your off time, what are your favorite things to do for fun?
I like to read, delve into different things in reading, both fiction and nonfiction. I like to listen to music of different genres and get to know that, and I like classic films and things like that.
So, what's your favorite book to read?
Oh, well, since I'm not, running for president, thank goodness, I won't say the Bible, even though I do read and respect the Bible very much. But some of my favorite writing is I like the ancient writings, ancient Greek and Roman and similar things, because it amazes me how so many things that's happened in the world seems like they've happened before. I like that. I like medieval stories of knights and slaying dragons and things like that, because that's I really think the origins of modern sci-fi and fantasy and that sort of thing. So I like basically really old classic stories is what I'm most into when it comes to writing.
So, on a side note, I also see that you dive into paranormal investigations.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, okay. As for paranormal investigations, give me like a brief idea of one that you like recently did. And do you really like get scared in the investigations?
I oddly enough have never found uh, supernatural things to be scary, and that isn't to say that I don't believe in the possibility of such things being real. I am skeptical because especially from having worked as a magician, I understand how the human eye and the human mind can be so easily fooled. So you can be seeing something perfectly normal out of place or something like that. So you naturally jump and think it's something supernatural. So that's uh, something that I believe I brought into it in my own work doing paranormal investigations. That being said, I've seen a few things that I couldn't explain. I just don't want to go so far as to take that leap of faith, and that's what it would be, and say, "Oh, because I can't explain what I'm looking at, and my perceptions must be so perfect." Of course not, but that's what people seem to think. I'm going to jump and say, "Well, that must be supernatural," but that's
Hmm.
not the way I see. I've been on investigations where I've seen things supposedly, like I saw a lamp like supposedly just jump off a table on its own, and that's a, I suppose, a scary thing to see, and a lot of people would say, well, that's supernatural. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. There are all kinds of possibilities as to why something like that might happen. If you were in another situation where you weren't expecting it to be supernatural, you would say, well, maybe a semi truck went by, or maybe there was a slight earthquake or something like that. So, I have seen some strange things, and I don't discount the possibility of supernatural existing, because who knows? But I don't think that there's any actual proof of it. And let me just say, I don't have anything against anyone who believes in the supernatural at all as a matter of faith. I think that's perfectly all right. I'm a religious person in my own way, and I believe in that sort of thing that way. But I don't think that there's ever been any scientific proof of the supernatural. And basically, I think that people who claim that they have proven such things through technology or anything like that are basically just fooling themselves.
So you're not ready to say that you've seen ghosts?
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that I have, because once again, I know how easily the human mind can be fooled, and how we sometimes see what we're expecting. If you're going on a paranormal investigation and you're there long enough, eventually you're going to find something you can say, oh, that's paranormal. Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Things that you wouldn't even notice if you were there for some other reason, I think can be kind of discounted to begin with.
So what was the biggest mistake that you've ever made in life or in work? How did it change you as a person?
I think talking about writing, I wish I had gotten into writing regularly earlier in my life, because I could have done so much more of it by now, and who knows where it would have gone. But I won't see that as a mistake, because at the same time, I'm able to use bits and pieces of things that I've experienced as inspiration for my writing. And maybe when I was younger and hadn't done as many different things in life, maybe it wouldn't have been as interesting or as something that I could do as prolifically as I can now. So it really wasn't a mistake, but still I look back on it, and I wish sometimes that I would have done more of it when I was younger, because it's come to mean so much to me.
So is there anything else that you think that my listeners should know about you and what you do?
Just that I'm here to entertain, and there are some people just put this on the table just to make sure people understand that I know this, who see things like magic and like paranormal investigations. And there are people out there who, for their own reasons, their own beliefs, jump and say, well, that's a bad thing, that's evil, that's witchcraft or whatever, which it isn't. But even if it was, is that really the worst thing in the world? As I was saying, you look at the news, you see a crime, you see terrorism, you see ethnic hate, religious hate, all kinds of hate. People use every excuse in the world to hate each other. You see that, you see death, you see exploitation, you see terrible things. These are the evil things in the world that we should be fighting against. We shouldn't be, fetishizing it into supernatural and things, and saying, well, that's evil, so let's just avoid that. And and will be doing good, because I don't think that that's doing good. I think doing good is fighting against, or at least speaking against, the real evils in the world, the hate and the suffering and the exploitation and violence, things like that. That's the evil that we have to fight.
So, do you have a Facebook or website for my listeners who want to follow you?
Oh, anyone who wants to see my writing, you can go to Weird Mysteries NYC, as in New York City. That's weirdmysteriesnyc.blogspot.com. And there you'll find my writing and contact information. If you're interested in speaking to me about anything, I'm always glad to hear from people or give your opinion on my writing or anything else that I do. And so check that out, and I hope people do, and that you enjoy it.
So, what is that one question that you think I forgot to ask you?
I really have no idea, because I'm so used to people asking me weird things, because some things that I do, that your questions are quite sensible. I've gotten people, when I was doing magic shows, come up to me after the show and ask me if I can do something to put a curse on the guy at work that they don't like, or to to improve their personal life or whatever, because they misunderstand it that much. So I've been asked just about everything you can imagine at some time or another. I'm just happy that anyone's interested in the things that I do and is interested in asking me questions at all. So I just leave it at that.
Well, thank you, Daniel, for being my special guest. Can you stick around for Math Corners?
Sure, why not?
Aw, Dad, my computer's slow again and I can't play my games.
Call Your Computer Solutions today, and we will scan for viruses and clean that computer up remotely and make it fast again. Our phone number is 407-826-0810.
Thanks, Dad. My computer's fast again. Now I can do my homework. Thanks for calling Your Computer Solutions at 407-826-0810.
Tiberius' favorite subject, it's Math Corners!
And now it's time for Math Corners. You know what? Thank you, Daniel, so much for helping me with Math Corners. This week, we're going to do some more multi-step word problems. My dad is always good at finding new problems for me to solve. Today, we're going to talk about finding some ghosts. So, you know what? I think you might be good at this one. Okay. So I know ghosts might not be real, but you know what? Let's just use some spooky fun to practice our math skills. So imagine this. You and your friends are doing a ghost hunt in an old mansion. You set up EMF detectors in 3 rooms: the library, the hallway, and the attic. Here's what happens. In the library, your EMF reader reads 2.5 milligauss on average. And then in the hallway, it reads 4.0 milligauss. And in the attic, it's a spooky 4.5 milligauss. Now, you decide to find the average EMF reading for the, whole mansion to see if something strange might be going on. What's the average EMF reading for all 3 rooms?
$42.
I think I got this one. Well, this is a real world problem because, it helps to know the average reading to determine if the house is haunted. Ooh. So, first you have to add all the readings together. So, it's 2.5 plus 4.0 plus 6, that's 6.5. Then you add the 7.5, and then you get a total of 14 milligauss. Now you have to divide that by the 3 rooms. So 14 divided by 3 is 4.6666. It's just going to keep on going forever. But it could be a sign. I don't know. So, Daniel, do you have to figure out averages of EMF readings when you're ghost hunting?
I've never really looked for averages. I've used the EMF detectors. They're interesting things. I think though the EMF detectors more often register when there's something else that someone could be mistaken for a ghost than anything supernatural. I don't know. I don't know if they actually detect supernatural or not. I suppose it's possible. I've seen. I've seen them like suddenly jump and peak and go off the charts when supposedly strange things were happening. But on the other hand, they can be triggered by all kinds of things. So once again, who knows?
Well, thank you so much, Daniel, for your help with Math Corners.
Well, I'm sure.
And now it's time for the Heart of a Lion. As you know, we talk about the qualities of living by the heart of a lion, which stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and nobility. Well, this week, we're going to talk about nobility. Again, for me, I think nobility is remembering we are God's special possessions and acting in a noble way, showing courage and honor. The qualities of nobility are goodness, virtue, honor, generosity, and selflessness. Well, this week, I saw a homeless man with 2 dogs sitting near a traffic light asking for food for his dogs and himself. I saw many cars pass by and ignore the man. Then, I saw a boy, probably around like my age, and his dad approached the man and gave him water, dog food, and what appeared to be some cash. I smiled because of so many people that passed by, and these two showed nobility and kindness when they didn't have to. These people definitely made the day for that person and his animals. So, Daniel, do you have an example of nobility that you saw this week?
I wish I could say that I had. There's far too little of that in the world. As I said before, some of my favorite stuff is like those stories of medieval knights and things like that. So I get exactly where you're coming from with that. It's something that the modern world has lost. On the internet, people actually use the term white knight as an insult, and I think we need more white knights in the world. I don't mean that, of course, in any ethnic way or anything like that. I mean in the old sense of being a true do-gooder, not sticking your nose in other people's business, but when you see that someone needs help or someone needs assistance in any way, you should do what you can within your own means. Whatever you can do, somewhere, someplace, you should be doing something to help people.
So, Daniel, of all of the Heart of Lion virtues, which is the one that you see the most?
Uh, I think I see people who do have bravery, uh, jumping into parts of life that scare them, but that are things that they have to do, and they strive forward and go into that. So courage, I think, is a noble virtue that most people need to have sometime in their life, and who do manifest that at some time.
We should always try to be lion strong in everything we do, shouldn't we?
I definitely agree with that. I think we need to get a lot of that back in the world, because, as I said, one of my own favorite things from the past was reading the books of the medieval knights and things like that. So I really understand what you're talking about, and I think we need to get that back, that sense of duty to do good things for the world. Uh, Also, in another tradition that I come from, and then the Jewish religion, we have a belief, it's called healing the world, which is a similar thing from that tradition. But as far as the knighthood things and everything that I was interested in reading about, as I said before, yes, unfortunately, we hear the words on the internet. We often hear people say the term white knight as a term of insult if they think someone's being too trying to help somebody too much. And I think we need more white knights in the world. I don't mean that in any ethnic way, anything like that. Of course, I mean in the old sense of being a do-gooder, not in the sense of like putting your nose in other people's business. But if someone needs help, someone especially is asking for help them. Do what you can, or tell them where they can get help, or whatever it takes. That's basically what I'm saying is the noble way.
Sweet. And that's our show, folks. I want to thank the one, the only, the amazing Daniel Rumanos for being on my show. It has been so much fun talking to you today. I think you learned a lot about all your work as a stage magician, sci-fi writer, and a talent agent. Do you mind giving your social
Thanks for
media and
having me on
website
the
again?
show. It was very interesting talking to you. My main website is weirdmysteriesnyc.blogspot.com.
Also, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at The Tiberius Show, and I would like to thank WWPR 1490am, Canton 98, Soul Radio 24/7, EasyWay TV, and all the other stations that air my show. And please be sure to visit The Tiberius Show on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. And Daniel, are you subscribed yet?
Not yet, but I certainly will.
Okay, well this week, Robin is Adorable says, great video, we love Wiki. And user Hadley says, Tiberius, this is my first watch of the Tiberius Show, and I loved it. Good questions, good vibes, and of course, libraries forever. Well, user Hadley, thank you so much for your support, and I'm glad you're enjoying my style. And be sure to leave a comment on my videos, I might even mention yours at the end of the show. And also, be sure to listen to us next week on the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius